Willkommen, this is Julia.
And this is Shane. And this is Think Plant-Based. Think Plant-Based. Make sure to check out recipes, health tips, travel tips at www.thinkplantbased.com.
And we're officially on iTunes, so please rate and write us a review on iTunes.
Write us a review. Give us 2 stars, 3 stars, maybe 5 stars. Let us know.
For sure, 5.
Yeah, I mean, who would give us 2 stars anyways, right? But yeah, make sure to do that because that's how we get found. Welcome back. Think Plant-Based. With our lovely guest here, Kyle. How's it going, Kyle?
All the way from Toronto. Hey.
Kyle Shea.
All the way from Toronto, yeah. I'm well. Thanks for having me on.
That's
How you
good.
doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Thanks.
Pretty good, yeah.
You look like you're doing well, you know. I mean, we're still in this weird phase, right? We're getting used to. I mean, we here in British Columbia, the different regulations than over there, right?
Yeah. How is it in Ontario? Is it more locked down than you think here, or is it about the same?
From what I understand, yeah. I still kind of hear stories of just from people back in BC of like going on the seawall and stuff, and people. I don't know if it's still true to this day, having like picnics and stuff and
it's true.
Gatherings. So
it's true.
Yeah, that's definitely not happening here.
Yeah, right.
No, yeah. Like I was just in like Kits and people and like Spanish Bank, and people are they're socially distanced, but they're definitely having like, you know, family little picnics
and birthday parties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's working, so I mean, yeah. I mean, they could get a lot more stricter if we don't shapen up, but for some reason it's working, so we'll just keep doing it.
People really follow like actually keeping distance more or less, I find, you know, being outside. So it's really like we're getting used to it now. In the beginning, it was kind of like, oh man, I totally forgot to keep distance now, you know? Or like, let's run real fast next to that person, you know, but you're still like pretty close, but you're running. I don't know, that can still not be that helpful, you know, if you have the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, my favorite is seeing like people go for walks, and I'm in kind of I'm outside of Toronto, but it's a more rural kind of area called Coburg here, and seeing people, someone will walk on the sidewalk, and then a friend will walk like on the street.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
I saw that.
Hilarious, just walking on. Now you need a bike path and a walking path, and then the cars, and then a sidewalk. It's
totally.
So fun.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Listen to this one. I was like walking down to Brentwood here in Burnaby, and there was this woman, this older woman. She was on a walker, and she was walking actually on the street to avoid us passing by us people. But she put herself more in danger. Behind her were like cars honking, like, excuse me, you're on our lane. And everyone was like looking, what's going on? You're actually putting yourself under really risk now, you know, real risk.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Anyways, I mean, you've been on our podcast before, so we know who you are, but some of our audience don't know. So can you please tell our listeners and our audience who you are?
Yeah.
I can, yeah. So my name is Kyle Shea. I'm founder of Kyle Shea Coaching. So I'm a growth coach and leadership trainer, first and foremost. And what that kind of means is on the individual level as a growth coach, and then on a collective level as leadership trainer, usually with organizations. I basically bring 2 kind of elements into people's lives, which is compassion and what I call kind of full-throttle living. So compassion in the idea of just understanding that you have a capacity and you have strengths that are actually useful for your life and for the world, and you can actually alleviate suffering by doing that, and you can actually enhance your communities by playing to your strengths. That's my sort of simplest definition of compassion. And then the full throttle living aspect is a little bit of an adventure or sense of aliveness when you're living in your strength zone, and when you're playing to having meaning in your life and having a purpose that fulfills you, and the ability to follow through on that purpose, not just in your own life, but even with organizations. If you're on a team, or you work with managers and you work in organizations, as I said, then you can bring both those aspects to life. So that's what I'm sort of all about. I love bringing that work in my own life and also to people in my community, especially in a time like now where it seems to be of service is one of the most fulfilling parts of work.
Totally. Definitely. Right. Together we're stronger as well. I keep on hearing that all the time.
Yeah, right. Together we're all in this, and we gotta
work
keep
together,
moving.
right?
Yeah. Team effort, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Team effort.
Always a team effort. So what do you do to keep a positive mindset during this quarantine? Any suggestions for our listeners? That maybe you're just
hung up, and watching the news all the time, right? That's hard. Like, how do you really focus on solutions? So
I mean, every second there's something new on our phones or on the news, just streaming to our
I think one of the more unusual things about just what we're going through now is, news is always changing, right? There's always and not just news like typical, CBC or broadcasting channels, but getting notifications and staying updated on the world with our phones, especially. That has always been a sort of ongoing and high speed type of thing. It's ramped up even more now.
Right.
But the thing that's different now is that we're actually, a lot of us are trying to stay as up to date as possible and actually follow the speed at which things change, which is crazy for any one person to comprehend, let alone a system or an algorithm. Right? So one of the things that I do is I think there's a balance of staying informed and making wise choices, but also not trying to have everything figured out. There's something to embracing uncertainty a little bit that is actually serving. That is actually kind of it's a unique time for us to try that. And what I mean by that is, or how that looks, at least in my own life. First and foremost, I'm a huge meditator, so I have been ramping the meditations up a lot in my daily routine. Usually it was in the morning and then at night. So sort of ground and set any intention for the day when I start my day, and then sort of come back to center at night. Now it's sort of scattered a few times throughout my day too. Just taking even a break to take 3 or 5 breaths and just sort of calm down what's actually happening now in my life and kind of go from there. I'm also in, as I said, more of a rural area for another 3 weeks before I return to BC. So that's been really great actually to connect with my parents who live here and even to connect virtually as we're doing,
that's the beauty of technology, right?
Right. Imagine we didn't have that, right? In these times.
We'd feel pretty alone, I bet, and pretty isolated.
Right.
Yeah, I bet. And some people are actually alone. And like I was quarantined when I some brief context here. I returned from India when this was all going on, and I had to quarantine for 14 days or self-isolate. And I was alone in the place where I was staying.
Right.
I kind of thrive in those conditions, and I was able to do a lot of work with my business and create some projects on the go. But even so, there is something around connecting with people. We're just there's no getting around how social we are at our own physiology. So it's been kind of cool to embrace. Well, I know you both don't like Zoom, and you have justified reasons, but through Skype and other technologies, and those have been kind of the mainstays for me. There's also keeping myself busy with not just work, but meaningful work and purposeful work. And I'm fortunate enough where even before this pandemic, I was already engaged in work that was meaningful for me, and I was able to create my business around that. But it's really been a cool opportunity to reflect on not just income and not just how do I pay the bills, satisfy that first, of course, but there's also an added level here of thinking about my future and thinking about our futures is how is it we want to spend our time? Like what are the things we can do that give our meaning, give ourselves meaning, but also give our communities meaning, right? Like, a project I started was, it's called the Challenge. We haven't launched yet. We'll probably launch in a few weeks, about 3 weeks from now, but the whole idea of it is having people take on some sort of fear, some sort of challenge that you kind of know, maybe you don't know exactly what that challenge is yet, but you know deep down that it's probably something you've wanted to do for a while, or something you know that once you do it and you go on the other side of it, it opens the gateway and the doorway for connection, for sort of aliveness and even love, whatever that means to you in that moment. So creating that has been exciting for me and a co-founder. And then once we launch it as well, will be pretty cool to keep not just a positive mindset in terms of how to stay like happy, but I think of positive in terms of how do I stay growing? How do I stay fulfilled? And some of that is kind of getting present to. There's a lot of stress out right now, and there is a lot of hardship, and it's okay. it's okay for there to be hardship and not to be completely happy, to have days where you just feel like, what the hell's going on? I don't even know what tomorrow looks like, let alone next year. Yeah. But there's something about taking on that uncertainty, and meditation for me helps me do that. This challenge is an opportunity to do that as well, where it feels like even without everything completely figured out, there's still something about taking that opportunity anyway, or diving in and going for writing that book I've wanted to write, or making that call with a family member that I've been putting off for months or years, whatever that is. So yeah, there's a lot.
Remember last time on our podcast we talked about having structure in a day. Like, do you still feel you have structure in a day? Because I didn't
actually thought about you when I was thinking that, because I love structure and I thrive off of having clear goals and clear ways of achieving those goals every day. But other people don't. And was it you or Shane who, I think it was you, Julia, right, who does not like. You value spontaneity and being able to have some sort of freedom.
Like a mix of it, I need some structure, but not the full on day. Like I usually do a list. I write things down what I need to get done, and then I have a certain idea. But or like routine. I don't really like the routine. The same every day. The way
routine's a dirty word.
Like for me, I can eat like the same meals like throughout the week or like a month if I'm on like a goal to like lose weight or something.
Not me.
But Julia can. It has to be totally different, totally changed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, that's fair. I don't know. I just like that sometimes. So I know exactly what's in there. I know what the everything is about that meal, that it's just, I don't know, works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you're touching on there too is such a huge thing, right? If you have, for a lot of people, routine is structure or stability or predictability, right? And
comfort, I think.
Comfort, exactly.
Comfort for me, right?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable doing
certainty
it.
Too, right?
I know what it's about. I don't have to relearn what everything is about.
I don't have to, think each morning how I'm going to plan out my day. It's already set.
Yes, exactly. I know where it's going. Like for me, if I don't have that, it's like a chore to plan out the day for me. Even at work and stuff. So no.
Well, and there's like a balance, right? I never advise like a specific routine, or even like, look, there are skills that you can learn for your own personal development that are useful for following goals, of course, but it depends what those goals are, right? So what I always think about in planning my own routine, and also in working with others to help set some sort of structure, whatever that looks like for them, is more about themes, right? So Julia, you might be on board for this one, but less about the specifics. Like, it's up to you to choose the specifics, but there are certain themes that are useful for, for not just for high functioning, but for having some structure, having some predictability, and then having enjoyment in your day, right? One of those themes being movement. So it could be a workout, could be yoga, could be doing mini putt in your dining room like I did a couple weeks ago, whatever that movement is, being physically in motion, having that just being a regular part of your life is huge. And that's just more than on a physical level, but in terms of your mood and on a neurochemical level. There's also a theme of reflection, right? Which, and again, a lot of these themes are more possible than ever because of this pandemic. But when I think about reflection, it's kind of like, for me, that's like meditation and journaling and thinking about my life, thinking about what I value, my current goals. But it could also be just that basic, what I call like the Joey Tribbiani moment. It's just, how you doing? You're just checking in and actually getting real with yourself for a sec, even if that's for 2 minutes in your day. Another theme of income, right? So what that looks like now is a lot of people working from home or creating businesses to supplement for the income loss. As a result of
or they can't even work, right?
Or they can't work, and applying for the CERB benefit, for example, or financial aid that the government's made available to qualify. Also, even just finding work, work that is not just something that pays the bills, but having an opportunity now to think about what is it that I actually want to spend my time doing and actually serves me.
Right.
And part of that is important to just have financial security, just get something to pay the bills right now, then that could be an important part of your day.
Exactly.
There's also connection, right? So again, we are social beings, right? So if you can have some sort of or some form of connection in your day-to-day, whether that's time with your fellow social distancers, or calling friends, having contact with people in your life. So that it's more than you just alive right now, and there are other people actually existing, which sometimes is easy to forget in this climate.
Yeah.
Well, and the other two themes is entertainment. So again, routine doesn't, I think a lot of people have it in their heads that it's this very militant, it's this duty, it's this obligation, and it doesn't have to be. Like, routine is all about your own well-being. It's just a way to sort of maximize that well-being by having a system in place. So have entertainment, right. If that's Netflix, or people have probably finished all of Netflix by now, or Crave, or getting creative. It is, I bet.
Yeah, right.
About halfway there.
Yeah.
But even though you see people, like, all the creativity with making obstacle courses in their homes, or I made one in the backyard here for my parents and I to work through. Very basic, but it was just, we felt like kids again.
You ever see the one where they do like the domino one, and they like have this?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that one.
That's how you know people are really working on stuff. It's like so complex and creative, and it's like, that must have took forever to record that.
How would you have the time to do it if we weren't under quarantine, or have this pandemic? I know for people that have relatives, I met one that knows someone where the relatives, like 3 relatives, died of the coronavirus. It's hard. This is really the downside of the virus, right? But on the other hand, we have so much more time to really reflect on ourselves and do creative things if we really want to, We either dwell on what's going on in this world, but then there's so much blessing behind this, We can be so creative and hopefully have more time even to exercise. I see a bunch of people going out and run more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So hopefully people use the time wisely, and really follow their passions more, especially in these times. Because after that, we won't have really time again. A lot of people will fall back into their normal routine, right? And we will maybe laugh, wow, we had so much time, and now it's like, where did it go? Some people maybe want to have it back.
Yeah.
And they have time for their kids. I see them like in the park, the parents, right? And they teach their kids how to ride their bikes and stuff. They wouldn't maybe be able to do it because they had to go to work and can only do it for a limited of time, on the weekends and stuff. But now we have kind of like unlimited free time. I mean, everyone wants time.
Some
that's
do.
more precious. Yeah, right. It's like time is more precious than money in reality, right? If we want to believe it or not. I know we need money, but time, you can really not get time back.
You can't buy it back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just weird, isn't it? I mean, it's like
norm, but it's so different. It's like we had so much freedom and that we took it granted for, and it's like now you got to be this, you got to be more closed off, and it's a change for sure.
Yeah, right. It's like
especially when you know the difference of where we used to be, right? I mean, people growing up now would be like, might be normal to wear a mask on the street, right?
Right.
Like, who knows? Like in
Germany, it's mandatory now that you wear masks, right? Like they loosened up the lockdown, but you have to wear masks. But I mean, in Canada, we're still more blessed than, like, let's say in Europe, they really had the house arrest. They couldn't go outside only for certain reasons, they had to show papers. Even like I talked to someone in Greece, they had full lockdown too. And they have to text the police, okay, can I go out now? I need to get groceries. Yeah, and because they can stop you outside, a cop can say, why are you going out? What's the reason? And then they have to show the text message. Wow. This is like, I got a confirmation that I could go outside.
Wow.
Like, we're still blessed, I mean, I haven't been to Ontario to really compare it to what's going on here on the West Coast, but I think we're still quite free, although we have to line up and things are slower, right? Life slows down more. And I noticed in the beginning, I was like, wow, I'm actually pretty impatient. Like I want things so quickly. I want to go to the bank and get my money. And
I just want one item from the grocery store.
I want to go to Whole Foods, and now I have to like line up at Whole Foods, right? Some people even have to line up for an hour to just get money at the bank.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of two two things that kind of surface from this that seem to be so obvious now, which is having intention. So as you said, like even if I needed one thing, I live downtown Vancouver, right? So if I need, I don't know, a couple oranges, I'm like a 2-minute walk from the grocery store, just going, and then I get it, right? And I wouldn't think much about it, right? But now there's, I'm certainly putting a lot more intention behind going to the store, for example. If I'm going for just one thing, is that really worth it? And right. So there's sort of a reflection back on what we were so used to doing in our normal behaviors, like going shopping or how we spend our time even, right? Think about, I thought about this the other day, like even my intention on something as like not super important, like watching a show, like having Netflix autoplay the next episode once it finishes and I'm on like the 3rd episode. Sometimes I don't even think about it. Most of the time I don't, if I'm actually watching TV or Netflix. Now I'm kind of like, okay, well, do I really need to watch this? And I can choose when I get up tomorrow because schedules are so different now, and I can really choose, do I watch this now, or do I actually get up, hit that cancel button, which Netflix never wants me to do, and then practice piano tomorrow morning in a time I wouldn't have had before. So I think there's a lot more intentionality, which as a coach I just love to see, because intentionality is what actually gets people to what they value and is one of the pathways to fulfillment. But then there's also something around change, right? Like I think it's becoming more and more clear that change, the thing with change, that it's not whether it's going to happen, right? And we can direct our energies over preventing change or helping change. The sort of ideal around change, or the point of focus, is actually how we relate to change, right? So if we accept that things are always changing and you don't have to attach to anything really, and it doesn't mean you don't have to care about anything, but you don't have to fix to things and want them to be permanent. Even our own lives change and are permanent. So yeah, there's a cool sort of transition, or even on a global scale, recognition of intention and change, and not having to prevent them, but how we relate to both of them.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Very well said. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I find even like exercise is so important to stay positive though too. Like for me, my
mental health.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Not
definitely what I
physical.
have structure-wise in a way. Like doing work, I like Mondays through Fridays, I like to exercise, and then the weekend take off.
Well, that's one more part of routine that you didn't have last time we spoke.
Exactly.
So maybe 5 more conversation, then you'll be a routine expert.
Yeah, I always had that one, but that was like just like as eating, it's part of, like, I have to have
It's
it.
like
If I
brushing
don't,
teeth. Yeah. You don't feel right.
I don't feel normal. Yeah, it's just part of my life. I included it, and I pretty much force myself, even if I don't really want to. That's part of like my health. So I know I have to do it. Yeah. But yeah, there's so many ways, right? Everyone is so different, and we just the key is to figure out what makes you feel good, to stay motivated throughout the day and have a meaningful day, right? Every day.
I've actually cut back my exercise because the gyms have been closed, so it's more like home
And
push-ups.
working on beats.
Yeah, I've actually spent a lot more time being creative versus like...
You're working on beats as in you're cooking, or you're making music?
Working on
So we are vegan.
musical
I gotta always remember
producing.
that.
We'll
He's
say
a
musical
music
producer.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so beats on in that aspect where like I've taken quite a big break from doing that, and I'm starting to kind of have the time to kind of do that, and it's kind of nice to, spend it on that. And I have a little more energy because normally I'd be in the gym really working really hard, and then like when I get home, like the last thing I want to do is like sit down. I got stuff to do, So it opens up some time, especially working out from home. I might not be doing such an intense workout, but I think it's giving me more energy and more creative drive. Because I'm focusing.
Which can be energizing in itself.
Yeah, which is really
Exactly.
energizing, surprisingly, and keeps me well grounded as exercise does, right? For me personally, that's what it does. So,
Yeah, right.
so I actually feel a bit better not going to the gym. Because I was not just going for, like running or exercise. It was like, heavy weights. It's hard on your joints. And muscle building can be pretty not painful, but detrimental on your joints and muscles.
It can be painful too.
Yeah, I mean, you're tearing your muscle and rebuilding. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it requires a lot of energy to do that. So it's just nice to be able to, you know, calm down, think of it, and re-put that energy somewhere else where I would kind of want to put it.
Nice. I can't wait to hear some tracks.
Yeah.
That's
my
so
workout.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, they're getting better. I mean, I used to do it for how many years now?
He used to be a rapper. He used to perform.
Over
Really?
10, 11, 12
No, I
years.
never knew that.
Yeah. I
You
used
have your
to be a
shirt
rapper.
on right now.
Yeah, I got my record label shirt on.
Records.
What does it say?
I have to pull it.
Oz. Yeah, I never ripped the shirt off.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
AUSC. Oz Records.
Yeah, he's really talented.
But it's so true now, though, that it is kind of a time for, as you mentioned it, I think quite well, Julie, where there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of hardship, and we got to be present to that. We got to face that reality,
Right.
and there are a lot of frontline workers facing that reality head on, and not turning a blind eye to that, right? Which is, you know, my heart goes out to that, and there's incredible gratitude that there's people serving for us, basically,
Right.
and for the greater good and for the community. And at the same time, there's also we don't have to turn a blind eye to the opportunity that comes out of this, which is opportunity to actually have time around your passions, like to do some of the things that actually bring you energy, that actually bring you enjoyment, and you might even discover you're better at them than you think, or you have time to grow in those areas, like music or rapping or cooking. I know I've been doing a lot of cooking. Drawing, yeah, nice. Yeah, that's your painting behind you.
Right,
is it not?
yeah,
Yeah,
it
there you
is.
go. Front and center. So it's, I think there's something around just facing the reality that there's always good and bad, and you don't have to downplay either. Right. It's possible for us to face the true reality of COVID and how it's spreading, and even now talks of a second wave and all that. We got to band together to deal with that. And I think globally, we've been seeing how we've been able to do that with, you know, whatever level of success, but we've been doing it in some way. And at the same time, there's an awakening, there's an opportunity for, as you said, becoming that master cook you want it to be, or that, you know, the next M&M or whatever it is.
Sourdough baker.
Yeah, I told you.
Sourdough baker, yeah. Sourdough rapper.
Sourdough rapper.
Yeah.
Funny story. My starter, I finally made a name for it, and I called it Poofy Starter. Because I don't know if you ever seen the movie Bruno with Sacha Baron Cohen. He was saying, "Oh, Puffy Fada," like Faja for like Puff Daddy, and I was like, "Well, that's kind of funny. Call my starter Puffy Starter."
There you go.
So I named him Puffy Starter off of Puff Daddy.
That's awesome.
As a rep.
You set the bar high, because now you got to name the rest of your starters. But I'm excited to hear.
Totally.
Well done.
Yeah, took me a while to come up with that. I wanted something clever name. You always have to have a clever name for your starter. Right?
You do, right?
You're 1 for 1 so far.
I took
Yeah, exactly. That's so awesome. Yeah, we don't even eat out. Like the first time we ordered something was like
yesterday.
on Friday. Yeah, yesterday, right?
Yesterday. No, day before that. Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, right.
And it was only because I worked overtime and I just didn't have time to make anything.
Yeah.
So
we're like, wow, we've been like making food the whole time, you know, and it just works for us. I don't know. We just thought like
didn't really miss it.
Yeah, because people are actually still busy. I know a friend that works at a pizza place, and he said it's exactly as busy as like before the coronavirus started.
I mean,
you know,
pizza,
maybe even
people
more.
aren't even sitting down. It's usually all order, and they don't really have seats at pizza places, really.
Not really, very few.
Like 2 or 3 seats. So I mean, it's mostly a grab and go type thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Or delivery.
Yeah, delivery.
Right. Do they? Can you order stuff there, like pick up? Like in Toronto, do you have a lot of that? Like restaurants offering
I'm
it?
sure there's like Uber Eats and
I know there's definitely still delivery and more restaurants or food locations who weren't previously delivering are now delivering, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's gonna be part of the the new normal everyone describes, or one of the biggest changes out of this. Not just restaurants, but other businesses figuring out how to cater to people virtually or without having to be in store. But yeah, I don't know about. I actually haven't had takeout for I think the last time I had it was to try the Wendy's plant-based burger.
Oh,
Yeah.
How was it? I've never tried.
I mean, if you like fast food and you just kind of need that every now and then it doesn't fail. It doesn't fail the test. But I've made. I won't bash it. It was okay.
We haven't even tried any from A&W. Like we always say, when we go out, maybe we'll grab it. But it's the last thing that comes into our mind is to go to an A&W or like a Wendy's. Like it's so erased from our health minds that like I don't know. So
I don't know.
I mean, everyone says the Beyond one from A&W because the spices they have is like really good.
But even the Wendy one, I heard Wendy's.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all good, and I keep trying to make a conscious effort to go, but then like I just always forget.
Yeah.
Even with work, I think, I might not have anywhere to go, and I'll go there, but then I always end up going to a grocery store or something. I guess it's just the nature of always
Your
wanting
preference,
to. Yeah, I just would prefer to eat and make something than to like go and get greasy food from there.
Yeah.
Makes me feel better, right? Why would you do something if it doesn't feel good to you? But fast food for me.
We also love cooking.
Yeah, we also love cooking and stuff too. Yeah.
But it's still interesting to hear from you. Like what you think about the burger. I'm curious to hear what people think about the burgers. That are out there.
Have you tried the A&W one?
I have. Yeah.
How does it compare?
And I like it. And even the Wendy's one is. I like the Beyond one better. I hear Wendy's makes theirs either in house or maybe the company makes it. It's still I'm not gonna promote it as a healthy choice, and it's amazing. But I'm glad that it's an option for sure.
Yeah,
and it was a nice treat when I had it. I think my parents are vegan as well, right? So I got it for all of us to try, and we kind of. We're halfway through it, and then we were just sort of looking at each other, and like we all kind of knew we all can cook better than that, and we have the time to cook better than that. So it's like I don't think we need this again. But I will say it's nice for people who don't like cooking or people who would otherwise eat meat and realize that maybe there's another option, especially given this climate. So
exactly, I just heard actually that the U.S. The McDonald's in the U.S. are offering vegan options now.
Are they?
So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty big change if they're really going to do it.
That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, we really need more options, right? I guess even for these fast food places. And I'm actually surprised that, people focus so much on the wet markets in China. But then we have wet markets like in North America or like especially in the US, and a lot of people are not aware of that. Like New York has quite a lot, right? 50 or something?
I can't remember how many precisely, but I know that there's at least a couple there.
And viruses can spread there too. It's possible everywhere. And it happened already many times, right? Like the swine flu and stuff like that in the States or even in Europe, So it's unavoidable. I guess like sometimes people don't really mention too much of the source, like why viruses even spread so badly or where do they even come from, right? And there's so many conspiracy stuff going on too.
Well, I think you're right. There's something around like not looking at causality or not knowing how to trace things back to the source. I think there's been a lot of awareness around one source or one point of the chain of causality, which is the understanding of zoonotic viruses. Transmission from animal to human or from non-human animal to human animal. Mm-hmm. And then the conversation kind of ends there for a lot of people. And I think, one thing that, again, looking at opportunities with this pandemic and just moving forward, and as a vegan, I love this, but also as a coach, thinking about what are the behaviors that support my values or not, right? Or what is the consequence? What is my impact of the things that I do in my life? And you can even just look at, having an economy or a market, not just wet market, but an industry like animal agriculture, right? Mm-hmm. And knowing that even if part of the causality or one piece of the causality there is transfer from animal to human because we eat the animal, right? So then you don't even have to really get aggressive or controversial there. You can just let the question play in mind, right? does something like animal agriculture and the animal industry, does that make it more likely or less likely that these types of viruses can be transmitted, right? And there are certain ways of answering that, but you kind of have an instinctual response, right? And from that response, then you can start to think about what are the ways in my own lifestyle that support something that is going to make a transmission like this more or less likely. So that's one of the pieces that I love about this, where not so much about having the answer, but at least people being open to reflecting on things we take for granted, like the animal industry.
And having a solution, right?
Exactly. Well,
you can't go and shut down all these wet markets, but you can choose maybe not to contribute and pay money to the animal agriculture, which in turn, we know there's avian flu, swine flu. I mean, science is pretty, it's there that if you have animals caged up and they're in buildings or anywhere, you have to give them either antibiotics for disease and whatnot, and it's just going to breed zoonotic.
And mutations are happening.
Mutations and viruses.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, right? Some things we think we can control, we can breed so much and then make profit. But if we take advantage of something, I think there's this natural law, there's going to be consequences. Because you only take, but you don't give back. Like the circle is not there. It's broken. You only take.
Right.
But
where's the giving? It's just going to deplete, right?
Eventually, yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can take.
Well, and all of that to me helps restore. I find it inspiring because to me that helps. I find it restores this sense of agency or autonomy or my own sort of impact on the world. If you had said, and this is a common conversation with people transitioning into veganism or argument against it, is that even if you take a problem like animal agriculture and not just the impact that it has on overall health for humans, but also obviously the impact it has on animals, the lives it takes from, and the environmental impact of it as well, right? It's a huge, huge issue to tackle, right? And you might think, who am I to tackle that? What really could I do? One of the best things you can do and most impactful things you can do is actually what you're not doing. It's by not contributing to that industry.
Right.
You don't have to not eat. You can just eat plant-based sources, and there's lots of them. But you can ask the same question with COVID, right? You can say this is something that affects the world, many different countries, almost every country in the world. It spreads rapidly, so it's something difficult to contain, and you need a lot of expertise around it. You could still say the question, well, who am I to take on COVID, right? What impact could one person have? I'm not an expert, right? You don't have to be. Just by you not going outside as much, by not gathering in large groups, and being able to socially distance, that's an impact that you have that does have global reach.
Exactly.
And we're seeing the impact of that. So I find it inspiring. We have a lot more impact than I think we realize. Definitely. And it doesn't take as much energy to have that impact as I think we think it does.
Right.
So
that's true.
And the opposite too, right? One person can make such a big difference. Let's say one person has the coronavirus and can spread it so much, right? That's actually what Gandhi said, right? I think with the mosquito, we think that doesn't change so much or whatever, but it can change. It can make a big difference. It might look small, but it can still have a deep impact. And we see that with the coronavirus. It's an invisible enemy. And wow, that's a lot for us to struggle. We always thought we can defeat everything, but something invisible? That's really hard to defeat,
Visible to the naked eye. Yeah.
Exactly. It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we, when we were talking about, coming back to normal, I don't know if it'll ever be completely normal, but, going back, getting the economy going kind of back to where we were, what are maybe some things that you might be able to tell people to be mindful of when they're slowly getting back to that fast pace, economy striving kind of life?
Yeah, right. Or finding a new job. Some people don't even get rehired, right?
Yeah. So I'm curious. Tips you got?
I think about it in terms of, less about returning or getting back to normal, and I think about the sort of opposite, bringing normal back.
Right.
Right. So it doesn't have to be getting back to normal the way things were, but how we bring a sense of in this new environment, a feeling of normalcy and sort of stability.
Right.
And how do you adapt what normal is, right? And I think one of the ways to do that, and as you asked, with doing that without becoming overwhelmed and without jumping back into the rat race kind of blindly, I think one of the ways to do that is what I said before, with intention. So if you have parts of your day with, like, you have some reflection, maybe part of your reflection is, what was working for me before this and what wasn't working for me? Like, what were some of my, the things I was doing well? This is top 3 things that I had in my life. They can be people, they can be activities, they can be, skills that you had that contributed to my well-being. And then what are 3 things that were hazards to my well-being? And that could be something like, working a 90-hour work week without really reflecting if that's what I wanted to or not. Or it could be, something like eating at 11:30 p.m. Every night. Was that certain? That's up to you to reflect on, right? But just taking that time to reflect is a way. It's sort of a gauge. It's like a test for yourself, kind of like your thermostat, to show you, are the things that were hazards to me before, are they creeping back in more, or is it the things that were strengths for me before? And that's kind of the skeleton of it, and you can go into a lot of detail on all of those. But if you have time for at least that quick reflection, and a lot of people don't make time for that, but if you can make even 5 minutes for that in a day, that has huge repercussions for you. And it allows you to understand where, if you're on track with where you want to be, or if you're being overwhelmed and you're just kind of going blindly through life. I would also say, keep a balance of what I said before with enjoyment or movement, right? They don't always seem like part of the hustle, or part of productivity and part of well-being, but they're just as important as putting in your time for work and doing readings and getting good at your job. Having that time where you can kind of reset, whatever that is, with reading a book that is fiction, or whatever, having a movie to escape into, or just calling up a friend, right? So those 2 things, I think, keeping that balance, and then keeping this sort of 3 things that were working, 3 things that were hazards for you, being able to identify those and keep those up.
I think that's big. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people don't really think about these little things that
simple things.
Too. That have a big detrimental on your mental health and just the way that you go around in this world. Even with talking to people, if you're in a better mindset, you're going to be more positive. You're going to attract more people around you and things like that. And
that support you too.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, finding 3 things that are good and then 3 things that aren't helping you, you can really reflect and build upon yourself, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. That's such a good point.
And anyone can do that.
And it's very simple.
You don't need to. You don't need a degree in anything to do that.
Right. Yeah. And we have hopefully. I mean, I thought kind of we have less distractions these days, but it's more up to us actually how much we want to get distracted these days. Mm-hmm. Do you want to watch the news like I used to in the beginning? I used to watch the news so much. I wanted to figure out what's going on so I can stay healthy too. I mean. I thought, okay, I might not die from it, but then you heard stories in the news, oh, younger people can die now too. I was like, I can't even count on it, that I will survive. So Shane and I, we wanted to make sure, we use hand sanitizers as much as possible when we go outside, I mean, we're both still working. So we're not that much into the quarantine, I guess, as much as other people, but we still do our part, we keep distance and we use hand sanitizer. I mean, I cover my ear.
If I'm around people, I usually have something covering.
Right, when we're in stores or wherever we need to go, or it's confined or stuff like that. But it's still on the weekends you feel it,
Because now we're off on the weekends, and then we're like, okay, let's go do something, and then it's like, okay, it really sinks in because normally we're working and still doing the same thing, and then it really hits in that things are different on the weekends when we just go try to shop or go for a walk, and people are running around you to try to you got the plague or something. Everyone's just afraid of everyone.
Right, it just
jumping into traffic just to not be around.
With their walkers.
With their walkers and
totally.
You really.
People are so agitated. Really if we were cruising around in Vancouver last weekend, remember? people, I was like, wow, I've never seen like Canadians really freaking out that much, coming from Europe. People are more harsher and stuff, especially in the northern part of Europe. They're more like straightforward and stuff like that, right? But like I saw that now here, I feel like when people are in crisis, they show more the true colors, and of course, they're more impatient. But it was like shocking to see because like, people don't
Canadians
drive.
are so polite. And they're not polite when there's a pandemic going on. And sometimes, you can see with the toilet paper.
On the
I'll
edge.
be like, oh, go ahead. You can grab some toilet paper. It's like, no, give me that toilet paper. And
I punch you.
Yeah, they're like fist fighting. That's not Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Like a fellow, you see the good stories about people leaving toilet paper on people's porches or something. Those are good, but that's not the reality of what is going on. When there's a pandemic, it's like everyone for themselves. It doesn't, the Canadian in you goes away.
Totally, right? The values.
Not in everybody, but like it definitely brings out that,
edge.
It's not like, oh, sorry, oh, go ahead, like very polite. It's more
after you.
It's more after I get it, then I'll be polite, but I gotta grab it and do stuff first.
And it's not even survival. Like, if we don't have toilet paper, you don't need to be creative. You can use water, or you can use, I know it sounds gross, but you can use facial towels and then wash them or whatever, right? Like, there are ways, but I think because we're not used to this situation, right, the pandemic, that we don't really know how to handle it, or we watch the news too much, and that's where it gets triggered too, right? Fear, that we are more living in fear, So, I don't want to downplay it. The virus is dangerous, and it could be anywhere. It's invisible. I don't know. Wherever I go, I have to watch it. That's why I use hand sanitizer. I try my best, and washing hands, right? When I'm at home, I wash my hands. But there's only so much I can do, and I still need to stay balanced and calm, In the beginning, it was really hard for me. It was really kind of stressing me out more or less, so I couldn't really sleep because I was like, wow. Every day was like different, like you expected some news, or guidelines you have to do, So I was kind of excited and before I went to bed, like, wow, what's going to be like tomorrow? Like, the world, I don't know, because it's not under my control, right? But then after a while, I just let go the news, here and there I watch it, but
it seemed to be easier for me. I like less news, less knowing what's going on, and just kind of like living in the moment, like understanding that it is going on, but not letting it totally consume me, that my day just shuts down and I go into like a depressive, like what can I do? I can still live my life. I can still do stuff, wash my hands, and you can just try your best. But on a positive note, do you think anything good's come from this pandemic?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, even like, there's a few things, and we touched on a few of them, but even from what you're just speaking to was this idea of choice, right? And even the way that you were describing some of the people that watching the news, and I think we all know people like this where everyone has their own levels of risk, right, or comfort, where they and feel like they need to know every detail of what's going on in the news, or just what Public Health Agency of Canada is saying, or in the press releases on YouTube from the provincial and federal government, what are they saying? But the idea here is where do you establish choice, right? So what is within my control to actually go about my day to day, and to actually ward off this virus and not be a contagion for others, and what is not within my control? So hand washing, for sure, in your control. Using hand sanitizer and cleaning the house and just keeping basic, hygiene, and social distancing, completely within your control. Having this virus go away tomorrow, completely out of your control, or even our neighbors, impacting the way that America is responding to this pandemic, which has been a little different than up north. But is that really within my direct control right now? And it's not to say not to care about it, but this has been, I think, a cool time to have those reflections, to see, like, not only just with COVID, but even in my life, what are the things that are within my control that I can actually do something about? So that's something like putting in habits that support your lifestyle or support your goals, that are meaningful to you, or making those calls with family and friends that are meaningful for you and for them. That's within your control. Things like the weather, so the COVID climate or the actual climate, not within your control. Is that worth you stressing over about and getting to the point, like Shane said, where you're depressed in your room and basically looking at the news as a way to tell you there's nothing I can do, what's the point? I don't know if that's serving, right? So, however, I do see a lot of opportunities and people acting on these opportunities to actually make change and think about the impact that we have. So I was saying before, like I'm pretty, I don't know if excited is the right word, but it's refreshing to see, again, as a vegan and as a coach, to see people thinking about the impact of their behavior and actually thinking about their own values. What is actually important to me? This is actually a time where I can think about maybe work from home is like a lifestyle I like, and I'm going to push for that moving forward because I have more time with my kids, whatever it is.
Right.
But it's, again, coming back to what's important for me and how does my behavior line up with that, which is like, if there's ever a time to look at that and reflect on that now, or reflect on that in general, it's right now. So yeah, I get inspiration from that. I get hope from that without, thinking too head in the clouds. I understand that this is a huge issue and this is not going to go away tomorrow. So let's band together. Let's figure out what is in our control, and then let's make the changes where they need to be.
Find a solution,
Exactly.
right?
Totally.
Exactly.
I mean, you could fret over everything, but it's not going to help you find a solution if you're not looking for a solution, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. No, those
Totally.
are good points.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel so much more motivated even. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt already not too bad, but now, hearing it from our friend here, right? Like, it's just nice to see other people having a good mindset about it, and making the best out of it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and I think there's something around like scale, right? So taking something into your control and creating opportunities here, that can be on a big scale, and like maybe that's finding a COVID cure, and that's pretty useful right now. Maybe it's also booking 5 minutes tomorrow or right now after hearing this to practice that piano piece that you've never learned before, you want to practice, or to make a meal for everyone in the house today, a recipe you've wanted to try. I mean, the scale can be whatever you want it to be, right? But it's those times when you act on that choice, times where you actually take that stand for yourself and for those immediately around you, that actually shows you why life is worth living. What does fulfillment come from, and where is connection?
I just see now, the more you give, I guess you become happier, right? Like giving, like sharing a meal or calling someone up, and make sure you listen to the person, and see what they worry about. And I mean, maybe you can suggest some solutions. It's not a cure to everything, but even just listening, I think that's really beautiful for someone and very healing, knowing that you're not alone in this, we're all in this together in different ways, I mean, maybe a celebrity in Vancouver is with us in the same boat, but still it's different lifestyle, right? So we're not exactly everyone going exactly the same stuff, we're all having our own journey, but we're still going through this together somehow, with the goal like that we survive.
Yeah.
Right? So,
I would say the goal that we survive and then thrive.
yeah, exactly.
And we'll use this as a way to not just keep breathing by the end of it, but figure out new solutions to problems that existed even before COVID.
I agree.
So
Definitely, yeah.
So important, yeah. And we know you're a great meditator, and
Yeah.
I would love to do a meditation or something so that people,
Something quick.
yeah, our
Sure.
guests can like participate, and
yeah.
get all energized.
Yeah, for sure. I think I won't provide too much context, but you can just follow along at whatever level you're at, and no worries about having to get it right. The only thing I will say is think about maybe what I was saying before or I invite you to think about this. Change, right? And your relationship with change, whatever that looks like for you, and you can keep that in mind right now. But I can get into it. Basically, all you need to do is, if you've never meditated before, just kind of grab a comfortable position. You can sit on the floor, sit in the chair. If you're lying down, that's fine too. And then just kind of get comfortable. Just take a few deep breaths. And you can close your eyes if you like. And if you'd rather keep them open, that's fine too. And just notice the breath here. It flows in on the inhale and out on the exhale. And for the next few minutes, I'm just going to throw away any outcome or any effort here, any expectations, but all we're going to do is just follow the breath and just help understand the mind. So whether the breath is shallow here or deep or fast or slow, just notice it however it is for you and just allow your breath to be however it is. You might notice the change in the breath as it goes to the top of the inhale, then down to the bottom of the exhale. And then that repeats. And just notice what it's like to observe the breath here without having to change anything. Before reacting here, just observing first. And it's pretty natural for the mind to wander, so if you find that after a couple breaths you're thinking about what's for dinner or the sounds going on behind me on my end here, that's fine too. Just notice when your mind wanders. And then bring yourself back to the breath where we started. Noticing the inhale and the exhale. And again, each time mind wanders or you find yourself caught up in something else other than the breath, just recognize when this happens. And then just bring yourself back to the breath where we started. And there's nothing else needed in addition to that. And actually, there's nothing wrong with having your mind wander or losing track of the breath. The growth here is when you notice you're away from the breath, bringing yourself back. And it's that bringing yourself back right to the breath that grows the muscle of mindfulness. The ability to observe your experience, notice what's going on without being pulled away by it. Coming back to the breath each time. Just noticing the inhale, followed by the exhale. You might notice any emotions you might feel right now. Maybe there's boredom or frustration. Sometimes there's confusion. Maybe there's a sense of peace. Just notice that as something that's part of your experience right now. An experience that's always changing from moment to moment. And just like we did with the breath, see if you can notice those feelings as they're happening right now without having to make them last longer or make them disappear. Just noticing them as they arise and pass in their own time. The same way the breath rises and passes, and rises and passes. Bringing your mind back to the breath each time it drifts away from it as it naturally does. That's just how the mind is. And out with the exhale. And close out, just see if you can let go of any feeling of effort, any striving or trying to get this right and not trying to do it wrong or making it worth your time. See if you can put that aside. Those are natural feelings to come up. And when you put those aside, coming back to the breath here, right where we started, and just following the next 10 breaths, however they occur for you. And if you wander after a couple breaths, just recognize when you wander, bring yourself back to the breath. And that's all there is to do. 10 breaths, however they occur. And then just letting go of whatever breath you're on. Come back now. You can open your eyes if you like. And just take a moment to acknowledge the time you took and the time you put in. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to your experience. And just to notice right now if there's any change from when you started. And welcome back.
Great.
Yeah, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Really makes you
so relaxed.
Relaxed, right? And like, yeah, your voice is very soothing for
it is.
Meditate.
It makes meditation easier.
Yeah.
That was my yelling voice.
Oh, was it?
Oh, was it?
That was your outside voice.
Oh, that's why it helped so much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
yeah,
thanks for being on our show today and making everyone calmer and, you know, in such a hectic kind of period that we are in civilization.
Confusing.
Yeah, it definitely is nice to have some grounding and some techniques and some things to think upon, right?
Right. Everyone needs tools, right? But we get so confused when we watch the news and things like that, right? We hear different stories and sometimes hard to figure out what's right to do. We don't know sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So that was really helpful today to have you on our show, and I hope it helped our listeners and our audience, right? So
for sure. Well, I'm glad. It was a pleasure to be on, and it's a huge thanks to you, and I have a lot of gratitude for you both for putting this out and keeping in touch with people, and you know, helping us return to some sort of normal, as you were saying before. So I think you're achieving that, and happy to be part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we can't wait to have you back on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But we also want you to enjoy the time with your parents. You know, that's very precious. And,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. We see you soon for
Yeah,
some sourdough
hopefully
pizza.
we'll see you soon for some.
You bet. I'll bring my appetite.
Sounds great.
You better do. Yeah, it's going to be quite amazing. Yummy slices. I can't wait. Well, I can't get enough of sourdough
you're making me
stuff.
hungry right now.
There you go.
Well, we worked
Thanks
hard.
again,
Yeah.
Thank you, and take care. Stay healthy and safe, please.
Yeah. Safe travels. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Ciao.